What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Nutrition Talks with Tyson the Trainer. I am back from holidays. This is the first podcast you're going to be listening to since I've been back. That's wrong. You've always been listening to the podcast since I've been gone. I should say this is the first podcast I'm recording since being back after 5 weeks. And I was going to start it with what I've learned from travel, but I need to just make sure the things I feel like I've learned are still sunk in. So I'm going to give it a week or two just to make sure it's not just this first week afterglow of coming back. Still also fighting the jet lag a little bit, so I feel a little bit warped, but that'll be to come. So first episode back, I want to talk to you guys about Zone 2 cardio, or just cardio in general, because Zone 2 has been quite popular lately, and we're all promoting it, and there's a good reason for it. It's not the end-all be-all. It's not the only type of cardio you should be doing, but it does play a very important role in overall health. And I thought, you know what, just to get everything out there, get everything you guys need to know about cardio, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, before we go into it, I've got a really quick favor that I ask of you guys. If you haven't yet, give this a quick pause, whether you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Just give this a quick rating and review, please. Look, I give this information out for free. I love sharing this information with you guys. I love helping people, and all I ask in return is just giving it a review. So if you enjoy it, give it a 5-star. It helps other people find me, and it literally takes fucking 20 seconds. You can do it while you're listening to this. You just open up your app. If you're on Apple, scroll all the way down to the bottom. It'll say rate and review. If you're on Spotify, it'll literally have at the top. Click the 5. And if you don't think it's 5-star, fucking click whatever. I just appreciate you giving an honest rating and letting more people know about me. So with that out of the way, let's talk about cardio. So firstly, Zone 2 cardio, what is that? What is the Zone 2 cardio side of things? So basically, we have 5 different zones of cardio. Generally is what you're going to see. So whether you've used a heart rate monitor before, if you used a heart rate monitor before, you would have definitely seen there's 5 different zones. If you've seen on the machines, they kind of tell you, between this and this is fat burning zone, between this and this is high intensity, between this and this, and it usually has 5 different zones there. So basically the zones are just classifications as to, the higher the zone, so zone 1 to 5, the higher the zone, the more intense the exercise is going to be, and then they give you heart rate zones to go from. Now, your heart rate zone is going to be based on a few different things. It's going to be based on your age and your VO2 max. So basically it's going to be your age as a simple equation that you can do to figure out what your heart rate zones are going to be. So you can look up heart rate zone calculator, you type in your age, and it'll give you some generic numbers. A simple way to know what your heart rate max is first is to get to get 220, the number 220 in your calculator, and then minus your age. So for me, 220 minus 28 is 192 beats per minute is my predicted heart rate max. It is actually higher than that because I pushed my heart rate max higher, so mine's a little bit higher because I am able to do that. And again, that comes with improving your VO2 max. Could actually help you, push your threshold a little bit higher. But just a general simple math equation for you to be able to figure that out. So then once you know what your heart rate max is, it kind of helps you figure out your zones from there. Now, again, these zones aren't really important for most people. If you're a normal person who just is a recreational exerciser, you're not an athlete, you're not doing any sport, any of that, you don't really need to worry about your zones too much. But I do want to focus you on more of Zone 2 because you get a lot of benefits in Zone 2 with very low intensity, and it does not impact your recovery, and it's probably the quote-unquote best, easiest cardio for people to do, just to get your foot in the door, just to start burning some extra calories, just to improve your overall heart health, just to basically reduce your chances of all-cause mortality. Zone 2 cardio is the way to go, okay? Now, when you do your math equation to figure out what your heart rate max is going to be, and you're like, oh, well then what's my Zone 2 going to be? Zone 2 for most people is going to be between 120 to 150 beats per minute, somewhere within that range. Some people are going to be between 120, let's say, to 135. Some people are going to be 120 to 145. Everyone's going to be a little bit of a range there. Again, age, someone who's 48 is obviously going to have a lower range of heart rate they have to be in for Zone 2 versus someone like me. So these are very simple ways we're going to be able to figure it out. But again, as a general idea, most people will be between 120 to 150 beats per minute. Right? So the reason also we want to focus more on Zone 2 cardio is because this is where a lot of, like I said, it's low intensity. Athletes spend a lot of time here. So if you are actually an athlete, you can add up a lot of volume, and it's good because the more volume you add, there's a saying, miles make mitochondria. So the longer you can go, the better it's going to be for your overall health. Okay, and like again, it's not going to be wear and tear on the body. It's not going to affect your lifting. It's not going to make you tired. Funnily enough, zone 2 cardio, like when I'm just giving you this range between 120 to 150 beats, when you actually get on a piece of cardio equipment and realize what zone 2 cardio is, it feels like it's kind of too easy. You're like, is this for real? Like, is this as hard as I need to go? And the answer is yes. Like, zone 2 cardio is, like I said, it's a very easy way to get your foot in the door and a very easy way to improve your overall cardiovascular health, which is what we want at the end of the day. Because guess what? Having a good cardiovascular health fucking matters a lot. One of the biggest things I noticed overseas that I loved is that I could, it sounds like a dick thing to say, but out of our, like, my partner and my friends that we went with, I was always able to just keep going. Someone needed to have a break, have a rest. Like, I just didn't need to sit down and stop. And that's just because I have a good cardiovascular health. That's all it is. Like, not like it's not like it was fucking anything cardiovascular taxing, but it's like we were doing long walks, we were doing hikes, we were doing stuff like that. And for me, because I do cardiovascular exercise, it wasn't so impacting that I had to stop or slow down. And I just feel like it's a very underrated thing to have a good cardiovascular health, like just in all areas of your life. Like, if you want to fucking run after a bus or run up a flight of stairs or chase the train down before it takes off, or let's fucking say you got, like, someone tried to steal something off you down the street. If you are able to run after someone because you got a good cardiovascular system, like, that's fucking helpful. Again, if you're able to run after the bus and not be late, fucking great. If you're able to go on holidays and you don't have to sit down after getting tired of 2 hours of walking, 2 hours seems excessive, but it doesn't kill you for the end of the day. Or again, you do one day where you're out and about moving around, looking at sights and things while you're on holidays, and the next day you can't move, so you have to spend a whole day sitting around doing nothing. Well, that's going to limit your overall enjoyment of the holiday overall. It's like when I think about going to theme parks and you see people having to sit down all the time, and I'm like, what the fuck are you sitting down for? Like, yeah, I understand the theme park's big, but it's like you're sitting on rides, you're sitting down when you eat, but people, unfortunately, with them being heavier and out of not healthy, they're having to take more breaks. And it's like, if you want your life just to be a little bit easier and you want to walk up a flight of stairs without feeling like you're going to fucking turn blue and fall over, then having a good cardiovascular health is a great way to go. Drinking my apple tea that I got over in Turkey. God, it's delicious. Just having a quick drink break. So I'm a very big proponent of doing cardio. And again, the cool thing about cardio, zone 2, low impact, low intensity. It's kind of like weirdly, you're going to be like, is this actually cardio? And that's all we want to get here, okay? So different ways, like I said, you can know you're in your heart rate zone for zone 2 work. Number 1, you can do the talk test. The talk test is basically me being able to say a sentence without having to try and talk and catch my breath. Like, the harder you push, the less you're going to be able to talk in a sentence without having to stop. It doesn't mean I can keep talking the whole time while I'm doing zone 2 work, but I can record stuff, which I do. You'll see me on Instagram when I record it. I'm talking for about 20 to 30 seconds non-stop before I have to have a quick breath. That's a great way to do it. If you can hold a sentence, so when I say hold a sentence, if you can say, I'm trying to think of a fucking random sentence. One of the other guys I listened to on podcast when they were talking about zone 2, they said he pretends that he's going to order a McDonald's meal. It's like, I want a large double Big Mac and a frozen Coke, please. If you can say that without having to pause in between because you've got to catch your breath or anything, you're probably in zone 2 work. If you are having to pause, you're having to breathe, you're heavy breathing, you're probably pushing too hard. The second thing you can do is just nasal breathing. So nasal breathing is just breathing in and out through the nose the whole time. You do not need to breathe through your mouth. Because what we're trying to figure out with what we're trying to establish with zone 2 here is that your breathing is not upregulated. It's not shallower, it's not shorter, it's not a lot faster. Your breathing is still quite consistent. So if you're breathing through the nose, like, it's not exactly like I'm breathing now, like slow breathing. Like, I'm doing let's say 6 to 7 breaths a minute. It's still going to be a little bit more breaths than that, but like, you're not doing shallow breaths. You're still taking plenty of air in, plenty of air out, and it's quite controlled nasal breathing. This has been really good for me because I always used to be a mouth breather. So focusing on nasal breathing while doing cardio has been really beneficial because, especially when starting and I couldn't breathe through my nose, I had to take it really slow, and it was actually good because it kept me in a good tempo. Because my biggest thing is always going too hard too quickly, always trying to push up just a little bit higher that I didn't need to. So this is actually a good stop for me. So you got the talk test, you got nasal breathing. We can talk about an RPE. So RPE is a 4 or a 5 out of 10 basically. It should be like, a 5 out of 10. That means, so like as an idea, you should be able to do low intensity cardio, zone 2 cardio. You should be able to do it, and the only reason you stop isn't because of your body is fatigued. It's kind of just because you get bored, That should be the biggest indicator that you just stop doing cardio. I will sit on the assault bike. People are like, how do you do the assault bike for an hour? When you're doing zone 2 cardio, for me, if any of you do get on the assault bike, it's 200 watts a minute, 200 to 210 watts just 200 to 210 watts. Just look at it on there. That's what it sits at for me to sit at a heart rate of 142 beats per minute, which is just consistent zone 2 for me. I watch Netflix on there. I reply to Instagram messages on there. I will voice message clients on there or reply to clients on there. I will edit my content to create reels and stuff while I'm on the assault bike. I'll do anything because it's just so easy. I will watch an hour. So at the moment, I'll tell you guys some Netflix stuff you should be watching. Watch Deep Breath. I think it's called Deep Breath. Or The Last Breath, The Deepest Breath maybe. It's about free diving. Holy shit, it gives me major anxiety watching that. Such a good movie though. Movie/documentary. Arnold's series that came out, I think it's just called Arnold, was really, really good too. Currently watching Conor McGregor Forever, or McGregor Forever, whatever it's called. And these are 45 to an hour long Netflix episodes, and the only reason I get off the assault bike is when an episode finishes. If it's 45, I get off. If it's 50, I get off. If it's 60, I get off. And it's not because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. It's like, oh, okay, cardio's done. You get off it and you just kind of you can just go and do whatever else you want to do. It's supposed to be very low fatigue, very easy recovery, very easy volume. And this is what we want to get the benefits. It's actually pretty fucking cool. So again, another one, 4 or 5 RPE. And you can, again, if you want to do heart rate testing, you can use your watch. If you have an Apple Watch or if you do a Garmin or anything like that, whatever you've got, you can use a heart rate strap. I use a heart rate strap. But once you kind of know, if you're using different pieces of equipment, I like to use my watch at the start just to kind of figure out, okay, what do I need to be holding in regards to watts or RPMs or any of those things? What do I need to be doing to keep my heart rate at a certain heart rate, okay? So let's say, for example, on the assault bike, I don't need to do my heart rate every day because I know that around 200 watts, my heart rate is between 135 to 145, anywhere between there. I'm in my zone 2. I know it's that. I just get on and do it, okay? That's only because I tested it a few times. Whereas if I'm on a spin bike, depends on the spin bike and stuff like that, I will take my heart rate monitor and I got to figure out, okay, what are my RPMs going to be? If I get on the cross trainer, that's going to be something different I haven't done in a while. If I'm going to go running, that's going to be something different. So it's a little bit tough, especially if you're not going to be, if you're running on a treadmill, I guess you'd set a cadence so you would know, exactly that you're running, let's say 8Ks an hour or whatever it is. Whereas if you're running outside, maybe it is a bit of an idea to get a heart rate monitor. Or again, using nasal breathing, practicing sentences, stuff like that. So there's plenty of ways for you to know that you're in zone 2 work. Zone 2 cardio, I should say. And again, the biggest thing you need to think about is the reason you probably get off is 1, you're out of time, or 2, you're just fucking mentally bored. Because it's just very, very easy. Which is a good thing, because if it's easy and it's a low barrier to entry, you can just kind of do it whenever. Whenever I have no energy, I can still get on there and pump it out, no worries. It's very, it's kind of like a cheat, And the good thing about zone 2 cardio, you don't have to progressive overload. You don't have to be increasing everything each week. It's just maybe as you get fitter, because you will get fitter, let's say for the first few weeks, you might have a lower RPM or a lower watts or whatever it's going to be. And then you will be able to increase that, but just because your cardiovascular health is improving overall. So you will get to a point where you'll probably have to increase the intensity a little bit, just because the lower watts or whatever, it wouldn't be hitting the heart rate. But then you'll find a point where it's quite a sweet spot. Like, I came back from 5 weeks overseas and I got back on, and the first week it was like 180 watts that I had to do. Then I was back at 210 watts. Like, it wasn't a huge change. And it was before I've left. Like, the only thing I'm doing here is just racking up miles. That's all I'm doing. Or racking up minutes, I should say. So, again, you don't have to each week make it harder, increase the intensity. This stuff is just for your overall health, okay? Now, people go, oh, but you burn less calories when you get more efficient at cardio. Not so much. Because when you get better or you improve your cardiovascular health, what happens is you become more efficient. And this is, like I just said, your wattage will change, or your RPMs or your cadence or something will change, that you have to go a little bit harder. And then maybe every few weeks you retest your heart rate or you retest your nasal breathing or whatever you're doing, and you might increase a little bit, but we do not adapt to cardio as quickly as we think to burn less calories, okay? If my heart rate is still pumping at 140 beats per minute, just like it was 2 weeks ago, just like it was 6 weeks ago, I'm still burning pretty much the exact same fucking calories, all right? The only way you need to progress this is length, and only if you have more time. Length as in like time. If you can have more time, do more time. For me, 45 minutes to an hour a day, 5 days a week. The other 2 days I have my boxing. And that's just because I have the time. On that time, I will listen to a podcast, I will reply to clients, I will reply to Instagram, I will watch Netflix. Like, it's like my downtime, basically. And again, I'm thankful enough to be able to do this. Not everyone's going to be able to go to the gym and also do cardio. That's fine. But if you have 10 minutes at the end of the workout and you want to start adding 10 minutes of extra cardio in, I think it's a good idea. Is it going to kill your gains? Absolutely not. You can do it after you work out. You could do 5 minutes before you work out if you wanted to, just to start practicing. One of my clients, she's a powerlifter. I got her up to, we started at like 6 minutes of her on the assault bike, because that's the only cardio equipment she has in her powerlifting gym. 6 minutes on the assault bike before her workout. Now she does 13 minutes before her workout. And guess what? It's so cruisy, it's not interfering with her training. It's warming her up, especially in winter. It gets the blood flowing. She trains early in the morning, like 4:30, crazy. So she's waking up because she's actually doing a little bit of movement. Technically, she's doing warming her body up, basically, which is going to improve her overall mobility, be able to help her actually produce strength, especially first thing in the morning when you want to wake your body up. For her to be able to get the blood flow going, it's a great way, and it's increasing her heart rate. And when you increase your heart rate, you're pushing blood through the muscles, and because it's an assault bike, it's a full body thing. Now, I'm not saying you have to do the assault bike. You can do the rower, the cross trainer, the cycle, go for a jog, whatever the fuck you want to do. I'm just saying you can just add in a very small amount, so like 10 or 15 minutes after a workout. And then if you're like, oh, well, how many minutes after a workout can I do before it starts ruining my gains? You're someone who doesn't need to worry about that shit, okay? Like I said, zone 2 isn't going to be impactful on you. It's not going to ruin your gains. I wouldn't say do an hour of gym and then an hour of the bike or an hour of cardio straight after. Probably not that much. You know, maybe leave it at like half an hour. I've got a client, funnily enough, another client, sorry. So she was on a calorie deficit and she just wasn't seeing the results she wanted to see, I should say, sorry. And I was like, look, I don't want to cut your calories anymore. You're doing a good amount of steps. Can you add in 15 minutes of cardio after your workout? And she's like, yeah, I've got 15 minutes. I said, okay, sweet. Let's just add in 15 minutes. As a general idea for most of you, for every 8 to 10 minutes of cardio you do, you're going to burn about 100 calories, okay? The heavier you are, the more calories you'll burn in a shorter amount of time just because of weight, okay? For me, I burn about 100 calories in 6 or 7 minutes just because, again, I'm a heavier person. For you, let's say you're 60 kilos, it's probably going to take you about 8 to 10 minutes. So for her, she's doing 20 minutes on the elliptical, which is about an extra 200 calories burnt a day. Guess what started moving? The scale and the measurements, just from adding that little bit of extra cardio in every day after her workout. Because she was already working out, she was already doing her steps, she was already eating lower calories. I didn't want to pull calories anymore, so I'm like, how can I create a little bit more of a calorie difference in her day without requiring a lot of effort? 15 minutes after her workout every time. She's being consistent. She gets to 20 minutes some days. Oh, sorry, not 15 minutes. She's doing 20 minutes. She's doing 20 minutes and she's seeing results. Like every week, her weight, her measurements have been chipping away. which is something she was struggling with for a while because I'm like, I don't want to pull your food down anymore, So these can actually be not only beneficial for your overall health, which is really important, but also if you're someone who wants to create a little bit of an extra energy gap in your diet, this can be a good way to go about it without it being super fatiguing. Now, the thing you've got to consider here is doing this extra is not going to burn, like I said, a whole lot of extra calories, firstly. Secondly, one thing you've also got to consider is this may or may not, if you're now doing 20 minutes of cardio, let's say, and usually that 20 minutes you were doing an extra 2,000 steps, well, with that, you're only burning technically another, let's say, 80 to 100 calories extra. So it's not a huge difference. So if you're looking to add cardio in to help with the calorie burn a little bit, do not count this towards your steps or anything. You want to try and do this extra. And that's why I'm saying small amounts can go a long way. Maybe during the week, you only get 15 or 20 minutes after a workout to do it. Maybe you only get 15. Maybe the days you're not training, you do a little bit more cardio and you're doing between 20 to an hour, based on how long you've got. Because the cool thing is, like when you chuck on something on Netflix and it's so easy, the cardio you do, that you can watch a whole episode without even fucking realizing the time's gone by, you're just burning calories then, Like my mate, he's got not an assault bike, a stationary bike in his lounge room. In the evening, he just sits and watches TV and just pedals on the stationary bike for an hour. What an easy way to get cardio up. Like he actually gets a TV. I'm watching it on the fucking, on my phone outside in an assault bike, because I can't obviously put that in the lounge room trying to watch TV. You'll blow everything around. But it's a simple way for you to be able to do it too. Like if you do have a stationary bike at home or a cross trainer at home, more power to you. Just do it at night time or do it in the morning, whenever you got time. Do it while just watching an episode. Because again, this is like, I am more pointing this towards more overall health with zone 2 side of things. But if you want to burn some extra calories, it's a good way to go about it. And when you do have more time, dedicate more time to it. Because there is nothing, you're not going to overload this too much. You're not going to, again, ruin your strength. You're not going to do anything that's negatively impacting you. The only way you're going to fuck this up is if you start to push too hard and you go outside of the zone 2. Look, I should actually clarify this. If you go outside of zone 2 and you go to zone 3, have you just fucked up everything? No, okay? But the more intense something becomes, the longer it takes you to recover, the harder it is for your body to recover and to adapt. And especially when you're trying to do other things like the gym, that's when it becomes an issue. And then again, the calorie burn too. If you start doing an hour of cardio every single day to burn more calories, and that ends up being an extra 600 calories you're burning, and now you're creating, let's say, 1,000 calorie plus deficit a day because you've got 500 coming from food, you've added an extra hour, let's say, whatever it is, then you're actually going to be creating problems, okay? So just don't do stupid shit. Do not start to create huge calorie deficits based on cardio. Don't do that, please. Do not start pushing too hard. Again, it's supposed to feel easy. It's supposed to feel cruisy. If you end up going a little bit harder, sometimes you're like, oh shit, I'm going above 100, I'm going in my zone 3. Like, don't stress. Just cruise down a little bit. There's nothing wrong with going in the other zones, but again, the more you go into the other zones, the harder you go, the more it's going to impact your body to be able to recover. If you don't give a shit about gym and you're doing other stuff, well then, do whatever zones you want. But just remember, again, like you start doing like when I do a high intensity exercise, when I'm using zone 5 and I'm like 185 to 195 beats per minute, I am fucked for the day. Like not just after the workout, like the rest of the day, my brain is cooked. My body is cooked. I don't want to do anything. Like it absolutely ruins me. And so this is why I'm trying to explain to you guys, like it's going to be a killer if you do that stuff. And you can't back it up day after day. People who are like, oh yeah, I do HIIT training all the time. No, you fucking don't. I guarantee you right now. Like you see what a HIIT workout is, you track your heart rate and you watch yourself get to 180-ish beats per minute plus, and you try and do that again and again and again, you are going to ruin yourself. I'm telling you that right now. So don't do that. Don't create a huge stupid calorie deficit. And you're going to be sweet. You can add this in. It's not going to impact your recovery or anything at all. And again, it's like a little cheat code that you can add in without it being too strenuous. For me, it's a lot easier too because it's at home. You know, if I had to then go travel back to the gym every day, I probably wouldn't train twice a day. I would actually just chuck on half an hour at the end of my workout, because fuck going to and from a gym twice a day. So however you can lower the effort to do it is also going to be beneficial. If you're someone who likes to run, even better. You just slow down your runs a little bit. You may not be doing as fast Ks, but you can actually clock up a lot more miles, which again, when you look at runners, long distance runners, a lot of them are doing it at a low heart rate. Now, the fitter you are, the better the athlete you are, your zone 2, your aerobic threshold 2 is going to be higher. I don't think people listening to this are here to take my advice on that, because I'm definitely not here to present about how to do that or what type of an elite athlete you are. But I'm just saying, like, there are people who you'd be like, oh, what? But I see people run so fast. Like, yeah, they're probably fast because they're efficient, because they've been running for years, you know? I ain't that kind of person. So, that's really all you have to know about zone 2 cardio, to be honest. Again, you got the talk test. Can you say a sentence? Can you order your McDonald's meal without losing breath? Can you guess 120 to 150 beats per minute? If you can somehow track your heart rate, ideally would be good. And then once you track your heart rate and you know where that usually needs to be in a cadence, an RPM, a resistance, whatever it's going to be, keep it there. Anywhere between, you know, go for as long as you can, as many times as you can in a week, I would just say. There's no upper limit, there's no lower limit. Something is better than nothing. If you haven't ever done it before, start low. Pick any type of cardio exercise you want. Do not think that kettlebell swings, lifting weights quickly, any of that stuff, don't do that. Do a cardiovascular focused exercise. Jogging, rowing outside on the water, which would be freezing at the moment, so maybe not. Rowing inside on the rower, cross train, elliptical, playing footy and stuff like that. Look, you're probably going to be going, if you're playing sport, you're not going to be just in zone 2, okay? And again, don't freak out. You're like, oh my God, I can't run after the ball anymore because I'm in zone 3, zone 4. Jesus Christ, okay? Like, relax. If you're someone who's playing sport, don't fucking stress about your heart rate zones. You're going to be getting your cardio anyways. I'm just talking about people who just want to improve their overall health a little bit, and zone 2 is the way to go, okay? It's that simple. And nasal breathing too. Try nasal breathing. I would try nasal breathing regardless. Like, nasal breathing and tracking your heart rate to see how you go, it's a very big benefit. So if any of you start to add zone 2 cardio in, let me know what you've done. Let me know how easy it is. Be surprised. And let me know if you watch any of the Netflix series. And if you have any recommendations for me, please do let me know. And that's the end of the episode. I got you guys' responses on Instagram. I'm going to make sure I try and keep it 30 minutes, maximum 35 minutes, because you want it short, sharp, and not enough for me to start rambling and forgetting what I'm talking about. So guys, thank you for having me back. You had no choice because I'm coming back anyways. I appreciate you listening. And if you haven't, just give it a review. It's going to take you fucking 2 seconds. I appreciate it, and I'll speak to you guys next time.